Good afternoon, St. Joseph School families. So earlier this week, I had the chance to meet one of my heroes, although not in the way that you would expect. On All Saints Day, we have this great tradition where our fourth graders come dressed up as saints and they process into Mass as their saints. They lead us in all the Mass parts, and then they process out. And after Mass, they open this wax museum where they pretend to be wax figurines that if you step on a button, they will come alive and give a quick talk about their saint so that you can, in one 30-minute session, learn about 40 or 50 different saints, as many as you want, while they're there presenting. And it's a wonderful thing, and the kids did an amazing job on it. And it was through this that I was able to meet one of my heroes, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. So a little bit about St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. She was born in 1774 in New York during that Revolutionary War era. She was married at 19 years old to a very successful businessman who lost a lot of his business over the next 10 years, often because of shipping problems at that time, and also contracted tuberculosis. When she was about 28 years old, he died of tuberculosis, leaving her with 5 kids. At that time, her and her family converted to Catholicism, and just because of the loss of wealth and the loss of prestige and losing him, she really gave up everything in that process. However, it was during that time of her life that she moved down to Maryland. She opened a free school for Catholics, and as part of that, actually started the first religious order in the United States. So Elizabeth Ann Seton is very famous for starting the first Catholic school, the first Catholic religious order, as well as being the first canonized saint in the United States. Now, when I was in high school, I had a very special devotion to St. Elizabeth Ann Seton because during my junior and senior years of high school, I really had this great calling on my life because of a service opportunity that I had in high school. See, we had to do 100 hours of community service to graduate from my high school, and I spent a lot of that time coaching 5th and 6th grade girls basketball and softball at a local Catholic school. And it was through that work of service that I came to love Catholic education, love working with kids. It really, really made me want to be a teacher and a coach. And the name of that school where I did my service was St. Elizabeth Ann Seton School, which is still there to this day. And in fact, my mom even volunteers time every week there to volunteer for the school. So about 10 years ago, I had another great experience with St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. During that time, I was kind of at a crossroads in my teaching career and wondering, okay, should I continue as a teacher? Should I become a principal? God, do you want me to become a priest? Should I seek a religious order? Should I get married? Like, all of these questions were open and unanswered. And so I went through this period of discernment where I met with a spiritual director and did a number of just different discernment activities. But one of the things my spiritual director told me to do was, why don't you ask a saint to intercede for you during your discernment? And I thought, how's God going to send me a saint? What's this going to look like? Like, what should I do? But I said, okay, and went through with the process. And during that time, I was in grad school reading about the history of Catholic schools in the United States. And I read about John Hughes, who at the time was a very, very fiery, kind of well-known Catholic in the Philadelphia area. He really wanted to become a priest, but they would not let him into seminary, mostly because he was so passionate. He was such a firebrand, he would be way too controversial. Well, eventually, he got into seminary in Emmitsburg, Maryland, because of the intercession of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. So I thought, there it is. That's the saint I should go to. If she wants me to be a priest, she will intercede on my behalf. If she wants me to work with Catholic education, she was clearly passionate about that. She will intercede on my behalf. And so I asked her to pray for me, did a novena to St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, visited her shrine in the place of her original school there in Emmitsburg, Maryland, really asked for her prayers. And it was through that entire process that over time I learned I wasn't called to be a priest, wasn't called to join a religious order, was called to be a principal, and was called to marriage. And a few years later, I met my wife, and as they say, the rest is history. So I am always very grateful to St. Elizabeth Ann Seton for her influence on my life. And as a Catholic school leader, she is such a great example of somebody who gave everything she had to her faith, as well as to her kids and her family, and to Catholic education. So ever since I've become a principal, I've had this icon of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton in my office wherever I've been, and I really rely on St. Elizabeth Ann Seton's prayers. By the way, if you ever do go to Emmitsburg, Maryland to see her shrine, you can see the grounds of her original school that she started, and its name was St. Joseph's Academy and Free School. Probably not a coincidence. So I encourage you, know about the saints, learn and read about the saints, but tell your kids about the saints. Share those great stories about the lives of the saints, because it's very possible that a saint or a few saints will lead your children just in the same way that St. Elizabeth Ann Seton has led and been an inspiration to me. Thanks, and have a wonderful weekend.